Hello, hello. Happy Red Friday. Yes, it is Red Friday indeed. August the 18th, second preseason game tomorrow. Means we're getting closer and closer. I think we're 20 days away from kickoff, something like that. We're getting closer and closer. That kickoff feeling right around the corner as I'm adjusting this mid-live streams. Pretty professional look. There we go. That's a little better. All right. How are we doing, everybody? How is everyone's Friday going so far? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good week. It's been a wild week for me. I am happy it is Friday. Here, we got to do the Friday air horn. Yes, that is much needed. We are here, getting closer, like I said. And I'll say this, like the St. Joe part of training camp has wrapped up. Here's my thing with training camp. Obviously, the first couple of days are cool and exciting because you see all these plays. Oh, Mahomes is throwing to MVS and Justin Ross and Kelsey. Oh, and Kelsey again and Kelsey once again. Like all those things are cool, but then it comes to a point where it's like, all right, it is just training camp. You know, how much stock, and I've said this many times in the past, with OTAs, training camp, whatever, how much stock can you really put into these practices? I remember last year, Justin Ross with no defense. This was OTAs, by the way, not even training camp. Justin Ross ran some sort of route, and Chiefs fans went fucking wild over this. I'm like, you know, if I had never watched football before and that day was the first day I ever opened a Twitter account and started following Chiefs fans, I would have thought this was the greatest route ever ran in the history of football, in OTA history or something. I don't know. People just went crazy because Justin Ross ran a route. Again, all he did was run a route against no defense. And then Darian Kennard was hitting pads. At one point, people were going crazy. It's like, what did he do last year? I try to calm down, keep it cool. You know, it's all at the end of the day, it's just practice. As Allen Iverson says, we're talking about practice here. So I try not to get to go too crazy for these kinds of things. Preseason, okay, a little bit, but again, it is just a preseason. Teams are obviously going to try some things that, you know. Yeah, sure, it might be risky, but there's no serious cost at that moment because it is just an exhibition game. Three of them at least, maybe four if you're one of the two teams that play in the Hall of Fame game. Brad, I see you. Antoinita, I see you. Brenda, Scott, what's going on? Oh, I see you guys. You know, I don't purchase Madden every single. I'm not too big on sports video games. I'm really not. I said, you know what? I'll get Madden this year. Why not? Because I wanted to know, how is it playing with Mahomes, not having Hardman, Hale. The last Madden I got was the one where Mahomes was on the cover, the one by himself, not the one where he shared the cover with Brady. It's all right. It's fun. You know, here's what I don't like about Madden is, you know, even like the faster players in the game, like Pacheco. By the way, L'Jarius Sneed and MVS are apparently like the fastest players on the team. They have like a 94 speed. KT is at a 93. I don't know if that's right. Jerick McKinnon has an 89 speed. I don't know if I agree with that. But anyway, I know in past Maddens, it was so easy to like, it doesn't matter if you are a quarterback or if you happen to pick up a football with an offensive lineman, like from a fumble or something, or a defensive lineman picking up a fumble, whatever, whoever the ball carrier was. It was not that difficult to change the path where you're in. A change of direction was not really a big deal. It was pretty simple to do, but I feel like the more and more like the newer Madden games, the whole change of direction feels like it requires an immense amount of athleticism. Like with Isaiah Pacheco, for instance, like if I'm going vertical and I see there are two defenders and I kind of want to avoid them, maybe I go to the right. Man, it just feels like he has to make the most grueling adjustment to go from straight to right. I don't know. Madden was not really like that in the past. I thought the Madden games, like in the late 2000s and throughout the 2010s, they were pretty good. I felt like, I don't know. Just seems like it's kind of, I don't know. The graphics look nice and all. And then there are still some weird glitch. Like, here's my other thing. Madden has a lot of glitches. How is it that EA Sports, obviously they're getting millions and millions of dollars every single year, and I think you can purchase like coins or something for like other Madden items that I honestly don't give a shit about. But how is it that you can pull in this much money and not fix these issues? Look, I'm not a video gamer. I know nothing about creating video games. I don't know shit about that. But you would think that a company like EA Sports that's racking in tons of money could at least address some of these glitches. I don't know. That's just me. Oh, boy. Yeah. Coffeeville, Kansas. Appreciate it, Dave. Thank you. Coffeeville, Kansas. Don't they have the record for like the biggest tornado in history? I'm sorry, that's like the worst thing to like bring up about a city. I've heard good things about Coffeeville. It's close to the Oklahoma border, sort of, kind of. Yeah. Every year I just pray for an injury-free camp. This year it doesn't seem like we've been that lucky. Yeah, this year feels like there were more injuries than usual with training camp. Yeah, there were. Listen, every team deals with it. If you look across the league, all 32 teams and the 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks of practice they do. I don't think anyone's practicing for 4 weeks. Almost 4 weeks, I guess. All the practices that take place and all the 32 training camps, they're all dealing with injuries of some sort. Just feels like this year was a bit more with the Chiefs. I don't know why that was, but that just seemed to be the case with the Chiefs this year. So I don't know. This is kind of an odd camp. I don't know. A lot of people are talking about, oh, well, it's an Andy Reid training camp, that kind of thing. I don't know how much that has to do with anything. Maybe conditioning was a part of it. I'm not sure, but yeah, the Chiefs did deal with a lot of injuries this year in camp. Nothing major, fortunately. I mean, the worst might have been Nazeed Johnson. I know L'Jarius Sneed is trying to get back into things. Thankfully nothing with Kelsey, Mahomes. KT, yeah, he did get hurt, but he's expected to play in week 1. It's just bad luck sometimes. I know a lot of people say, oh, that's not luck. You got to condition. Okay, listen, I don't care how much conditioning you do. I don't care how much in great shape you are. I don't care how well you've took care of your body in the off season. You just cannot prepare for certain things, man. You just can't. You really can't. By the way, I don't have a whole lot to talk about for this Red Friday live stream. I anticipate this to actually be a shorter Red Friday live stream. There are a couple of things I want to get into, but I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. So I hope you guys have some questions, comments, whatever. I know even in the comments today, it's not a big one. And again, not that it's anyone's fault. It's just at some point, it gets to a point where I think people just kind of get tired of training camp. There is a point where, okay, you get exhausted from all of this. It's a little tedious. And again, no disrespect to the sport, the players, the coaches, everyone that's worked their ass off to put all this together and put in all the hard work to prepare for the season. It's just at some point, I don't know. It just gets old for me. It really does. And look, I know the media has a job to do. I know so many of them are putting on highlights or if they're not filming, they're at least tweeting big plays that happen. That's fine. Like, that's their job. They have to do it. But again, I can't really go too crazy for all of this. So I don't know. It's a little weird. By the way, Brett from Chiefs Kingdom Meme created a fake meme. It's a GoFundMe. Someone on Twitter was dumb enough to tweet it out, and then Chris Jones responded to it. It says, "LOL, this is not me. Do not send money. No money to this." It's a fake GoFundMe meme, guys. It's not real. Um, oh boy, I don't know, man. I will say this, and I'll get back to your guys' comments in a moment, so bear with me here. The whole Chris Jones thing, I give you guys my magic date. I said about 20 days from kickoff. Okay, I said 21. I wasn't sure if it was 20 or 21. My magic date is the 21st. Why am I picking the 21st? Well, yesterday was the final day of camp in St. Joe. Today's a travel day. As a matter of fact, the Chiefs landed about an hour or so ago in Arizona. Last time they were there, by the way, they hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. So good memories for sure. Tomorrow they got a game. Then Monday or Sunday rather is an off day. Chris Jones, you do get fined for off days, by the way, but given how much Chris Jones has taken in fines, I don't think he gives a damn for one more day. But, at some point, I mean, $50K is $50K, right? I mean, you can buy yourself a decent new car, or at least close to full payment for with $50K, but these athletes don't care, as we all know. Okay, my point is this. I think he comes back Monday, the 21st, 48 hours after the Arizona game, because the Chiefs camp ended on the yesterday, the 17th in St. Joe, but it's a travel day, then a game day, and then they travel back, late Saturday, early Sunday, just kind of depends on the time of the day when they get back. I think Chris Jones will come back 48 hours after the Cardinals game. Now, it's a Saturday night game, so 48 hours after Saturday night is obviously Monday night. So if Chris Jones is not there Monday on the 21st or on the 22nd, Tuesday, I'm going to hit the panic button. I'm going to say, what's going on here? Chris Jones is great. He's a great football player, and I'm sure he's staying in shape, doing his thing right now. But I don't think you can just show up a week before the Detroit game and say, yeah, I'm ready to go. I remember there's a UFC fighter from Kansas City, James Krause. Unfortunately, the whole gambling probe thing, he is in hot water with that right now from a legal standpoint. So he's not even fighting nor coaching. But I remember James Krause took a UFC fight on 24 hours notice. This is unreal. Nobody takes fights on 24-hour notice. By the way, Krause actually offered to accept another fight about a year ago on 24 hours notice, but it didn't end up coming to fruition. But James Krause, again, a guy who is a fighter and a coach, who took a fight on 24 hours notice. He looked like he was in good shape, but he wasn't in fight shape. And you could tell he was a little bit gassed out. He still, I think, won that fight. The judges, unfortunately, saw it the other way, but it was a split decision too. But anyway, the point is this. You cannot just show up and say, yeah, I'm a football player. I've been working out. I've been lifting weights. I've been, running my own drills here and there with a personal coach. No, man, you got to be with the team. You got to be running the drills. You got to be in, this is the point. Like, you got to be in football shape. You got to be conditioned with the team. I don't know who he's training with, if he's training with anyone or what's going on, what his whole training camp regimen is like away from the team. But if you're not with the team by the 21st or the 22nd, I don't know if you're physically going to be ready to play. I mean, how can you be ready for that game? Again, it's not because I'm doubting Chris Jones' abilities as a player, but you got to be in football shape. You got to practice with the team. Brad says fixing to check out Panthers. Bryce Young hopefully has a better performance tonight. Yeah, a couple preseason games tonight. I do want to. I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. Bengals fans hate when you bring this up, but this whole thing with Orlando Brown, man, I saw a tweet from a Bengals reporter saying Trey Hendrickson was the camp MVP, and I guess he just had a very easy time against Orlando Brown. I've seen a few clips of Orlando Brown in camp for Bengals camp. It's not looking good for him. And I know people are going to say, oh, it's just camp or it's just a preseason. Yeah, but we've also seen this for 2 years in Kansas City. If he is so great, why is he playing for his third team in 4 years? Makes no sense. Listen, I hope Joe Burrow comes back healthy, but Orlando Brown's going to let him get killed. I mean, I'm sorry, but Bengals fans are in for a massive rude awakening. And I'm going to be the one that's going to be right here saying I told you so. Because Bengals fans, and by the way, they're leaning on, oh, we'll see. Like, if that's all you can really say about that discussion, then you probably aren't too confident with him to begin with anyway. And I know I saw a quote from Orlando Brown that he wants to stay in Cincinnati and retire there. Good. Like, if Joe Burrow, who again I think is the second best quarterback in the NFL, if that's, and I think Joe Burrow is going to receive an extension at some point, I don't know when, that's going to be your biggest threat to the Chiefs. So if Orlando Brown's going to be there, you have at it. Unless he makes some massive improvements this year, I just don't see that happening. And I don't think Orlando Brown's going to stick there, honestly, long term. I don't think the Bengals are even going to honor that 4-year contract. They're going to want to get out of it as fast as possible. Listen, we saw it in Kansas City 2 years in a row. He got into better shape last offseason, and it just unfortunately did not pan out. Like, when I heard last summer that he was getting in better shape, he lost some weight. Like, I loved hearing that, man. Like, that's awesome. You're actually doing what you got to do to try to improve. It just did not translate to improvement on the field last season. He led the NFL among offensive tackles and pressures allowed. Okay, that's all you need to know. I know this whole thing about 0 sacks and all that. Yeah, but you allowed 7 pressures in the AFC Championship game. And I know Bengals fans are going to say, well, Trey Hendrickson's good. Okay, but if you're going to get top dollar at that position, then you got to play the best. You got to be at your best against the best. And unfortunately, Orlando Brown has it. I don't know what Myles Garrett's injury situation is like right now. If Myles Garrett is going to play that week 1 game, he is going to feast against Orlando Brown and get to Joe Burrow with ease. The same thing happened in Orlando Brown's Chiefs debut. The same guy, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett had his way with Orlando Brown. Okay. Oklahoma border. Cool. Yeah, I figured that's where it was. Blake asks, how long do you think they're going to keep doing camp at St. Joe? It's a really good question. The Chiefs are one of 7 teams that still do training camp in St. Joe. Look, I'm not a big fan of the whole thing. I don't know how much money the Chiefs are generating from this. I'm sure the university over there is benefiting from this as well. But what is the actual? What do you benefit from this? What do you gain from having camp at a remote location about an hour away from your stadium? I don't know what the benefits are. Like, okay, maybe financially there's something there. Okay, I get that, but is the franchise struggling for money? I mean, listen, I don't want to get too detailed into this because it turns into a political deal, but the whole thing with Bud Light, for instance, okay, supposedly they've lost a lot of money because of their stance on certain things. Okay, but is Bud Light really is Bud Light going bankrupt? Is the owner of Bud Light suffering? I don't think the owner of Bud Light is holding a sign at the corner of a street begging for money. Okay, so yeah, maybe Bud Light's losing money, but I don't think as a company they're struggling. If the Chiefs decide to not do training camp in St. Joe anymore, maybe there's a financial loss there, but how much of a financial loss? Is it to the point where you have to start laying people off? I don't think so, man. I don't know. But I'm just not a big fan of training camp and remote looking. The Dallas Cowboys, they do training camp in, I think it's called Oxnard, California. It's like northwest of LA. I was looking that up on the map the other day. In fact, it looks about 30 to 40 minutes away from LA. I don't know. Why are you going that far? Do it in your own city, do it in your own facility. The Chiefs have a great practice facility. They really do. And if there's bad weather, well, then they can go inside, and they've got a great indoor facility as well. So, yeah, and I don't know. To me, it's like the whole dormitory thing. I mean, you got Travis Kelce, who's 33 or 34 years old. Do you really think Travis Kelce is thrilled? I know in one of his press conferences, he said he loves training camp. He loves the preseason. I don't. Like, who loves the, oh my God, who out there says, oh my God, I love the preseason, man. I can't get enough of the preseason. No one ever says that. Nobody says that. Do you really think an athlete who, works his ass off and goes through all these grueling physical workouts day in and day out, do you really think they enjoy the dormitory lifestyle of training camp? I don't think anyone does. I really don't. I hope they decide to move away from that. But I don't know. I don't know. The Chiefs love it, Blake. To answer your question, I think they're going to continue doing it. How long, I don't know. But I do know Clark Hunt really loves the whole idea of being there. So I remember that was something Scott Pioli and his staff worked on. And that is something the Chiefs continue to do with the new regime. Early thoughts on Sean O'Malley, Zong and Lemos. I think Whaley is just a badass. She really is. I think she's going to beat Amanda Lemos. That main event, I don't know. I gotta go with Aljo. UFC 292. What does the rest of the card look like? I'll make it quick, guys. I know not all of you are UFC fans. By the way, Archie Manning, or no, I'm sorry, not Archie. I can't remember which Manning. The one whose brothers with Peyton and Eli. He did like a YouTube video visiting Dana White's house. I guess he's doing like a barbecue special. Where he's visiting like the houses of famous people and wants to know, hey, what does a cookout look like in your place? I haven't even finished the entire video. Go check out the one with Dana White, the president of the UFC. He's got a really nice house. Barstool Sports has actually done a tour of both the Apex and the offices, the headquarters of the UFC. In the UFC headquarters, right beside Dana White's office, they have a full bar. And I'm not talking about one of those bars where it's like, oh, my friend has a bar in his basement. No. Not one of those where it's just the 3 seats and you go to the fridge, you grab a beer. We are talking a full-on round bar. I've never seen an office with that before. Neil Magny's in this. Neil Magny's always been good. It's just there have been guys in the welterweight division who've always been better than him. Chris Weidman's going to be on this. I think this is going to be his first fight since that injury. Brad Katana, I've always liked. I know he's on the Ultimate Fighter right now. He got let go by the UFC pretty quickly, so I don't know why that was the case. So hopefully he can redeem himself. Brad Tavares is a good fighter. That middleweight fight should be good. I know Weidman. I think Weidman was trying to fight at light heavyweight, wasn't he? I can't remember. So, Blake says, I love all the comments on the Chiefs Kingdom memes. It's pure comedy. Yeah, people don't realize it's a meme when it's real literally in the name. Yeah, the comment section on social media is weird. There are some Chiefs groups I'm in. I don't ever comment or anything. I just join them just so I can kind of get a feel for what other Chiefs fans are saying. Some of these group admins will post intentionally misleading articles. I don't know if they're doing that to get a reaction, just to get their engagement up or what. But a lot of people buy into that bullshit. I'm like, how dumb do you have to be? I don't know, man. I don't know. Someone was posting about like how Travis Kelce got back with Kayla, the model and the TV host, and Brittany. There was another article about how Patrick and Brittany are having a third baby when that's not even confirmed. People just believe anything on the internet. It's kind of embarrassing. Third best quarterback, one Patrick Mahomes, two Patrick Mahomes on one leg, three Joe Burrow. Yeah. I agree with that ranking for sure. Yeah, it's weird. Dan says off-season training camps. I saw an Andy Reid interview from a few years back where he said he liked it being offsite because there were a lot less distractions than being in the city. Not sure if I believe that, but that's what he said. Yeah, I can understand like being away from your family and all of that. I can understand that kind of thing. I don't know, man. Like what distractions are you really dealing with? Um, okay, maybe you got a little issue going on at home. I don't know, man. Like we're all human. You know, I said earlier on the live stream, this has been a wild week for me. It really has. But you know, I'm also, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, I'm capable enough to still, you know, go to work and do what I need to do. Maybe there are some people, depending on the severity of what they're dealing with, might need to take a day off or a personal day, whatever. Fine. I know some people have opinions about that, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I agree with you, Dan. I don't know if I believe the whole distraction thing. It's just a weird thing. I don't know. Chad Henne is a married soccer dad that lived in South Overland Park and had a second and a fourth grader. So it's kind of funny to think about him staying in St. Joe, so you want to go party at the Power and Light District. Yeah, it's like, and listen, like St. Joe, I've been there a couple of times. It's not the most exciting place in the world. No offense to anyone who lives there, but it's a small town, right? I mean, it's a small town. The university over there is one of the biggest things they have. Their downtown area is not bad. I was at one of their sports bars a couple of weeks ago. It's an all right place. It's not bad. But yeah, it's like, you know, a player can still let's talk about a smaller town, River Falls, Wisconsin, which is where training camp was before St. Joe. You know, and not that I've ever been to River Falls, but I don't think it's that hard to pull up a map and on your phone and look up some of the places to go out and eat and drink. There are places in River Falls where players can go to drink or party or do whatever. It's going to be as cool as Power and Light. No, probably not, but it's just not anything like it's not one of those deals like, you know, you can go out and party in whether you're in St. Joe or in Kansas City. Again, I get there's less to do in St. Joe. There's no Power and Light type of venue at St. Joe, but still, man, that doesn't stop anyone from being able to maybe enjoy life in a VIP way. Let's just put it that way. Joshua Clayton says, yeah, pot stirrers everywhere. Yeah. By the way, if you guys have any questions, comments, let me know now, because I am caught up on the comments. Like I said at the beginning of the live stream, I don't have too much to say. I really don't. So if you guys don't have any questions or comments, I'm going to get out of here in a couple of minutes. Let me just talk about tomorrow's preseason game. What do I want to see? I'd like to see some more output from the ones. Let's just say last game was not too pretty. Andy Reid said they're going to play for a half. Not really a big fan of that, especially if Arizona has not taken care of that field yet. But we'll leave that complaining to the Eagles. If I'm not mistaken, both the Eagles and the Cardinals played Eagles and Chiefs played a regular season game there. And that turf, by the way, is the same turf the Eagles use for their home games. So anyway, we're getting off topic here. What do I want to see tomorrow? I want to see a hell of a lot better effort from the ones, both on offense and on defense. It was pretty lackluster last week against the Saints. Derek Carr, those are my thoughts on him. He carved up that defense, and so did Jameis Winston. Not good. I think the team is better than that, especially on defense. Offense was a little weird. Patrick did not play much, and it was really just Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the ones. I didn't really see much with the with the ones. I mean, all you had was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There was one play where Patrick Mahomes tried to run for a first down, and the pass blocking was pretty good. But it was just one play. I'm not going to go crazy because the offensive line looked good on one play. I mean, I'm just not. I know there was another pass as well, but it was like a short pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so it wasn't like a big deal. It's not one that you can really look at the offensive line and dissect it and really learn so much from that. You just can't. So hopefully the Chiefs look better in the preseason game tomorrow against the Cardinals. Did we have more injuries this year at training camp, or is this normal? It feels like we had more, Dan. I don't know statistically how many compared to past years, but it feels like this year we had more. I want to I want FAU to have at least one highlight reel stop. Pro Football Focus rated him well, but he only had one tackle on the box score, and we needed more from our first round pick. Yeah, outside of statistics, I think with the eye test, if you look at FAU and how he did last week, he didn't do that bad. And he played the most snaps at the defensive line. Him and Jack Cochrane, I think, played the most snaps on defense, 33 to be exact. So how many of those snaps will he play again? And by the way, he's third on the depth chart. Not anything to go crazy about. Karlaftis was second on the depth chart last year in training camp this time. So, that's pretty common for rookies to not be number one on the depth chart. So it's nothing out of the ordinary, but I do expect him to. Yeah, I'd like to see him make some strides for sure. By the way, a player who I have not talked about, and I feel like nobody is talking about, even in Kansas City, Brian Cook. I talked about him a little bit recently when we were going over the depth chart. My question to you guys, what do you think about Brian Cook? I think Brian Cook is a very under the radar player here. This is a guy who was taken in the second round last year in the draft, but didn't see a whole lot of time at safety because you had Justin Reed and Juan Thornhill, who the Chiefs drafted in the second round back in 2019. So the Chiefs had 2 second-round picks in the defensive backfield at safety. One was a rookie and one had been in the league for a few years. I'm very curious to know what Brian Cook does. He had a year kind of under his belt, behind the wings, or kind of under the wings, I should say, of Thornhill and Reed. So I think he learned a lot from those two vets. Kind of like how Patrick Mahomes learned from Alex Smith, but a far more different position. In fact, maybe a far more difficult position, because playing defensive back in the NFL is not easy. So I'm very curious to know, what does Brian Cook do in year 2, where he is projected to be a starter and is going to for sure play far more than he did last year? What kind of a safety will he be? Could he maybe be the safety like an Eric Berry or a Tyrann Mathieu? Maybe surprise some people. I don't think he will, but I think he can at least be a solid contributor to this defense. I'm very curious to see how that goes for him. I wanted to get that out there because I kind of thought about this the other day and realized, I haven't even been talking about this guy. I really haven't. So that was something worth bringing up. Joshua says, Fars, what is your leading receiver for this game? For tomorrow's game? Nico Remigio would probably be a good candidate. I'd like to see Justin Ross play more. I'd like to see him get some snaps with Mahomes. I'd like to see a lot of these receivers get playing time with Mahomes. I really do. And here's a guy that I think would really need to make a name for himself, because I don't think he did much last week. Ty Freifogel. Like, who is Ty Freifogel? What is he capable of? None of us know. Excuse me. None of us really know much about him. So what if he went out there and contributed to the offense whenever it's his time? He probably won't play with Mahomes, but whenever he's out there with possibly Blaine Gabbert or Shane Buechele, this is a chance for him to maybe make a splash, make some. Actually, let me pull up last week's. Bear with me here. Let me just see all of this. By the way, I'm seeing some headlines. Are the Chiefs relying on Travis Kelce too much? Man, are we really doing this bullshit again? Remember last year how, the Chiefs were in deep trouble without Tyreek Hill? By the way, whenever I say that, people are like, oh, you're making that up. No one said that. And I post a clip. It's a compilation of all the analysts out there that doubted the Chiefs, especially because of Tyreek Hill moving on and getting traded. And then people are silent. They're like, oh, well, those are just overpaid analysts. Yeah, but those are the overpaid analysts that everyone listens to. Let me see. I want to say Freifogel had a touchdown last week, but I can't recall. Cole Crawford. Okay, that's what I was thinking of maybe. Yeah, Freifogel was targeted once, did not have a catch. So maybe that's somebody that, realizes that he needs to step up and make some plays in tomorrow's game, and maybe he can shine a bit. Blake says hopefully this year Karlaftis continues on the tear he was on the second half of last year. Yeah, he really stepped up in the second half of last year, Blake. You're right. To see him training with Tamba Hali in the offseason to improve his skills has really given me a lot of respect for him. Yeah, and he's done some jiu-jitsu training with Tamba Hali. For those who don't know, Henry and Hiron Gracie, part of the legendary Gracie family, they've coached some notable UFC fighters. They've worked with Brian Ortega, who's challenged for the featherweight title a couple of times. They've also worked with Ronda Rousey. I think anyone who even has just the slightest familiarity with MMA knows about Ronda Rousey. Though Ronda Rousey is known more for her judo. They've also worked with some WWE guys that have tried to make that transition, like they work with CM Punk. Not that CM Punk was a great MMA fighter, but a notable guy that still went to Huron and Henner because those are guys who are very well respected in the area of jiu-jitsu. So Tamba Hali did use jiu-jitsu to try to help his football training. Actually, there's a really cool video out there. Go look this up. It's from 2013, I think. 2012, 2013, right around there. I think it's 2013. Just search Tamba Hali Jiu-Jitsu. There's a really, really cool video of Tamba Hali actually training with Henner and Huron, and they show some of the things he works on just to try to be a better athlete in general. It's actually really cool. So if you get to have about 10, 15 minutes, go watch that video. That is a really one of the coolest Chiefs related videos that is not football related out there on YouTube. Man, just looked at the schedule again. We got some good matchups. Yeah. Hey, listen, the Chiefs are always going to be the big matchup for all the other teams that have the Chiefs on their schedule. But yeah, you got the Jets, which, if the football gods will allow it just once to have Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes, that should be a lot of fun to watch. You obviously the Bengals. You got the Bills. The Chargers, I still think, are the number 2 team in the division. And the Chiefs and Chargers, I feel like the last 4 games have all been very, very close. Yeah, all 4. The last 4 games between the Chiefs and Chargers have all come down to the wire. They've all been 1-score games. I think if you want to go back to the 5th game, that was a one-sided game. That the Chargers won, and that was because they had their everyone had their backups in that game. Charger season was over. Chiefs had the number 1 seed locked up. Before that, I think they had I feel like all the Chargers games that Mahomes has played in have been close. I'm trying to think of a Chiefs-Chargers game that has not been close. The only one I can think of is the one where it was a Week 17 game and everyone put in their backups. That's all I can think of. So yeah, the Chiefs have a lot of close games this year. And by the way, let me just say something because when the Titans got DeAndre Hopkins, a lot of their fans are saying, well, we're going to step up now and be good. We barely lost to the Chiefs with Malik Henry or whoever their quarterback was. Okay, do you know how many narrow victories the Chiefs had against bad teams last year? The Titans with their backup quarterback, the Texans, that game went into overtime, shouldn't have. Twice to the Broncos, the Raiders game on Monday night. I'm sure there's another game. I mean, the Colts game, not that the Chiefs won that game, but it's a game that, it shouldn't even come down to that. The Chiefs lost to a team that eventually fired their head coach. In the long run, did that impact the Chiefs? No. So all these people that talk about barely beating a bad team, okay, from Kansas City standpoint, what does that even mean? Because the Chiefs, yeah, people are right. There are 5 teams that the Chiefs, bad teams that Chiefs barely beat. They still won the Super Bowl. Look at the Bengals. They went up against Tyler Huntley in the divisional round, and they barely lost that game. And if Tyler Huntley doesn't fumble at the goal line, well, then a Tyler Huntley-led Ravens team probably dethrones the Bengals, and we might have a different AFC championship game at Arrowhead. So, all these people talk about barely beating a bad team or a team with a backup. And to me, it's like, who gives a shit? A win is a win. Show me in the, if you go to NFL.com or ESPN.com, show me the stat line that that dictates, it basically shows barely beating a bad team. There's no stat line for that. There's a stat line for wins and losses and ties sometimes. People make too big of a deal about barely beating bad teams. I do agree. Yeah, the Chiefs should be able to do better. They should certainly cover the spread. Let's just put it that way. But that doesn't impact teams in the long run. At least for the Chiefs, it didn't. So it's always funny just trying to see teams try to dethrone the Chiefs that way. I remember after the second Broncos meeting, one of the Broncos fans who follow me for whatever reason commented and said, "Oh, now we created the recipe for other teams to beat you in the playoffs." How'd that go? How did that one go? Remember all the analysts saying the Chiefs were going to miss the playoffs last year? Yeah, that didn't. Nope, I remember that, Blake. That did not age well at all. I think Furious George is going to have 9 to 10 sacks breakout season. Yeah, that'd be good to see. Again, just kind of depends. If Chris Jones is there, it's just going to make the defensive line even better. I think he'll be there. Like if he's not there by Tuesday morning, I have questions and concerns. Dan says it was annoying when Trent Green mentioned Tyreek Hill in the first 30 seconds of his commentary last week. We won a Super Bowl last year. Can we please move on? I did not pay attention to that. I'll be honest. I did not realize that. Listen, me personally, I don't get bothered by the Trent Green narrative. Trent Green. What am I talking about? Tyreek. Sorry, they wear the same number. That's why I got mixed up. Right. I don't get bothered by that. If you guys paid attention last year, in the first 5, 6, 7 weeks, it was, the Chiefs don't have Tyreek Hill. Oh my God, what are they going to do? And I'm talking about in-game commentary, like Tony Romo and Ian Eagle, like all those broadcasters who are covering, announcing the game. Chris Collinsworth, all those guys. Then, as the Chiefs continued to have their great season, and as Mahomes was having his MVP season, the narrative went from, oh my God, they don't have Tyreek Hill, to, oh my God, how are they doing this without Tyreek Hill? So I kind of laughed at the narrative over time. Chiefs fans were still annoyed by it. Me personally, I had no issue with it. Listen, when Aaron Rodgers had his first year as a starting quarterback, how many times do you think broadcasters in Packers games mentioned Brett Favre? I'm sure it was brought up a lot, and I'm sure the same thing in the first year when the Vikings moved on without Brett Favre. Listen, if you watched Patriots games the first year without Brady, they spent a lot of time talking about the Patriots moving on from Tom Brady. That was brought up a lot. And in fact, I think it still gets brought up to this day. Here's what for the sake of this discussion, pay attention to a couple of Patriots games this year and pay attention to the announcing. I guarantee you at least twice. Okay. And it's been a few years since Brady has last played for the Patriots. I guarantee you, at least in 2 games this year, they will mention, how the Patriots are trying to move on from Tom Brady. I guarantee you this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and a lot of their games, the broadcasters are going to be talking about how the Buccaneers are trying to move on from Tom Brady now that he's retired. So look, I don't have an issue with the whole Tyreek Hill narrative that's being brought up. I can understand, now, after a Super Bowl win, it can maybe start to get annoying. I can get that. But, you got to understand, the Chiefs traded a big name player. And you know what? I'll just say this right now. I think that narrative of Tyreek Hill is going to continue to be brought up. But now, see, the narrative went from how are they going to do without Tyreek? Then it became, how are they doing so well without Tyreek? Now, I think it's going to be, look at the Chiefs. They traded away a perennial wide receiver, and they won the Super Bowl last year. If you guys remember the week of the Super Bowl last year, the 2 biggest storylines were Donna Kelsey and how the Chiefs made it here without Tyreek Hill. Those are the 2 biggest storylines the week of Super Bowl 57. So I don't have too big of an issue with all of that in general. If anything, I think from a general standpoint, if you don't have a rooting interest for any of the 32 teams, you probably would be. I think there's an interesting discussion to be had about the fact that the Chiefs traded away this dynamic wide receiver that we have never seen in NFL history. And the Chiefs not only won the Super Bowl, but Patrick Mahomes just had a phenomenal year without Tyreek Hill and also without McCole Hardman. Not that McCole Hardman was like Tyreek Hill in terms of skill set. Yeah, he kind of is, but he missed a lot of games. And he was like the only tenured vet on the team familiar with the playbook. Patrick Mahomes just balled out last year with essentially all newcomers at the wide receiver position, whether it's from free agency or the draft. So, yeah, last year was kind of a weird year. Chris says missing Aminu for 6 games is going to hurt. Yeah, it will. Defensive line has kind of had it rough, especially with Chris Jones not being there. And that's why I just wonder, this is for FAU. It's his chance to really grow and mature, and they kind of need him to grow and mature pretty quickly. So yeah, this is going to be quite the year for FAU, because if he plays those 6 games, I'm guessing he fills in those 6 games. Yeah, Joshua was asking, I wonder who's going to fill in for him. I think it's going to be FAU. I'm not going to rule out Mike Dana, but let's be honest here. You want your first round draft pick to be the guy. I mean, that's just the reality of it, for obvious reasons, right? Like, you don't want your first round pick to be a backup and all of that. If FAU plays well, it's obviously going to be a good draft pick. People are going to say, hey, that draft pick not only is it panning out well, it's panning out well early, because again, you have a lot of people missing right now on your defensive line. We still don't really know Chris Jones. Yeah, sure. Maybe some people are optimistic that he'll play this year, but can we really say that with certainty? Man, if the guy has really played hardball this long with, the second preseason game happening tomorrow, who's to say he's not willing to stretch it out even longer, maybe into the season? I don't know, man. This whole Chris Jones thing, I have no idea how it's going to go. I really don't. Dan says barely beating a bad team is a bad math in KC because for some unknown reason, Andy Reid always coaches down and overcomplicates. This is actually a really good point. Since 2020, after the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl with this core group, the Chiefs have not done a very good job of covering the spread. It's always been weird with the Chiefs, and I don't know if Andy Reid's holding back. By the way, I have to say something, because I have friends who say this. A lot of people defend Andy Reid for this, and they say, well, you don't want to reveal your playbook, your entire playbook. Folks, I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in the coaches' meetings. I'm not in any of those things, but I'm going to tell you right now for a fact, these playbooks are thick. You see this ESPN book right there. Okay, that is a thick book. Okay, I think you guys can all agree just looking at that. Think of that book and maybe think of double of that. Okay, that's really how big their playbooks are. Now I don't know if they've gone completely digital or what nowadays in the NFL. I don't think they can afford that many tablets, but there are so many plays. And by the way, you only have 60 minutes in a game. So unless you are running a play every second of the entire 60 minutes of a game, it's impossible to reveal your entire playbook. It's not possible. It's really not. So, yeah, but Dan, you have a point there. It's a little odd that the Chiefs do always have these weird games against bad teams, or as I like to call them, bye weeks. And that backfires. Aljo, gotta go with Aljo, man. I like both guys. I really do. I'm a huge fan of both guys. Aljo has really built his way up. That's why when he won the belt, I hated how he got booed and everything. Though he was kind of asking for it with the trolling and all that. Is O'Malley the first fighter to get a title shot from the Contender Series? I think he is. Dude, you got to respect the hustle and the way this guy has climbed up the ladder. That's something right there. These fighters don't make a lot of money. A lot of non-fight fans don't realize this. They don't make a lot of money. So you got to build your way to the top if you really want this to be your way of earning a living. And O'Malley's figured it out. Good on him. I like both guys. I don't want either one to lose, but someone's got to lose. It's almost like Aljo against Cejudo. I'm a huge fan of both guys. I was so excited when Cejudo came back. And this is another one for Aljo. Like this is another bantamweight title fight where I don't want to see either guy lose. There are a lot of guys in the bantamweight division that I really like. Because it's weird, the beauty of the sport is if you have a favorite fighter and he's going up against someone that's easy to hate, well, then, part of the fandom is you buy the pay-per-view in hopes that he knocks out the fighter that you hate. But I just don't feel this way about either guy. Maybe there are a lot of people who hate Aljo or a lot of people who hate Sugar Sean O'Malley. Not me. So I hope I'm hoping for a good scrap. I really am. That's what I hope to see. The other Super Bowl topic would be if Andy is retired. Oh yeah. That was more of a topic. I feel like the day of the game, Joshua. Because who was it? What's his name? The buff dude, bald dude, kind of short guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I know what he looks like. I just described him to you guys. He's a huge MMA fan. I know that. And in fact, I think he did back when the UFC was on Fox. He did some MMA coverage there for the UFC on Fox. I cannot think of his name for the life of me, and it's killing me. You guys got to help me out on this one. I'm not going to bother looking it up. Tyler says I see him going to the dark side. Oh, referring to Chris Jones. I hope not, man. Jay Glazer. Thank you, Joshua. Jay Glazer. That's what I was thinking of. By dark side, do you mean the Raiders? I hope not. I mean, the Raiders, the only way you trade him to a division rival is if they are giving you the house. That's the only way. If Chris Jones does not play this season, will he get paid his $19 million this season? No. In order to, unless you're injured and you have guaranteed money in there, I would imagine it's almost like, showing up for work. If you just decide to not show up for work, well, you're obviously not going to get paid for it. I don't think Chris Jones is getting paid if he doesn't show up. He has to. You hope O'Malley wins. You like his boxing. Yeah, and by the way, he has only one loss, right? And that was against I can't remember the guy, honestly, but it was like a freak accident with his ankle. Yeah. They can't even pay Josh Jacobs. Yeah. How are we going to pay Chris Jones? We can't even pay Josh Jacobs right now. That's a good point. Yeah, man. Tomorrow night's going to be fun. Chiefs football, UFC 292. I am excited for all of that. Air horns for that. Yes, indeed. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. This was more of a low-key. I feel like the next few podcasts and Red Friday live chats are going to be more low-key because, man, there's only so much you can really talk about in the middle of August. And then we're going to have a little dull period after the third preseason game. So the live streams are going to be definitely dull. Not because of you guys or me or any of that. It's just, there's only so much you can really talk about at that point. So, but we'll still continue these nonetheless. I appreciate you guys making this Friday part of your Friday night, this Red Friday live chat part of your Friday night, I should say. Appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't done so already, go check out SeatGeek. Use my promo code Farzine for $20 off and go to Manscaped. Get yourself 20% off and free shipping from your purchase using Farzine20 as your promo code at Manscaped. And by the way, the SeatGeek promotion right there, that is only good for first-time customers. So keep that in mind. I forgot to mention that. That's only good for first-time customers. All right. Appreciate our sponsors, SeatGeek and Manscaped. I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Go watch some preseason football. That's what I'm about to do. Other than that, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.